Welcome you back to this other session of ours. Today we are going to look at what we call heterotrophic nutrition. When we talk about heterotrophic nutrition, this is the type of nutrition in which organisms take in already made organic food substances made by autotrophs. Actually, we talked about heterotrophs and we call that these are the producers. When we talk about heterotrophic nutrition, it means organisms now are feeding on already manufactured food. So the types of nutrition, also the types of heterotrophic nutrition, we have halozoic nutrition, the saprotrophic nutrition or the saprophytic nutrition, symbiosis, parasitism, mutualism, and the commensalism. We are going to look at one by one. So let us begin with the first one, which is the halozoic nutrition, and we said that this is the type of nutrition in which the complex organic food is taken in and broken down inside the body of an organism into simple soluble molecules, which are then absorbed and assimilated. So from there we are going to look at what we call the basic processes involved in halozoic nutrition. One is obtaining food, which may involve movement to capture or feed new or find new food sources from the environment. Ingestion, this is the intake of food into the body, stop the feeding mechanisms. Then 3, we have digestion, where we say that chemical digestion in bracket by enzymes, and physical digestion we all know by the teeth, gizzard for birds, mandibles, and medulla of large insoluble molecules of food into smaller soluble molecules. So we can go ahead and look at another basic process, which is absorption, the uptake of nutrient molecules into the cells of the digestive tract, and from there into the blood stream. Then from there we can look at defecation or ingestion. This is the elimination of unwanted residue. We can go ahead and look at what we call assimilation, the utilization of the absorbed soluble food substances to form energy or materials which are incorporated then into the body tissue. Then from there, allow me to talk about the feeding mechanisms of animals. Here we have the nature of food, and we are going to begin with the smaller particles, those organisms which feed on smaller particles. We have to look at what we call the mechanisms, then organisms, and the description of these mechanisms. One, we are going to look at the filter feeding stock, the microphagous feeding. Here we have the whales, the sharks, the flamingo, and healing bird. These ones, they use what we call they are the ones which are called the filter feeders. The description is that these organisms use what we call the body appendages, where we have the gills, the beaks, the cutaneous plate, the filter planktons, stroke the blue-green, all will be suspended in water into the body cavity, stroke the mouth, then digestion does what occurs. We have what we call the pseudopodial feeding. When we talk about pseudopodial feeding, what comes into the mind is that organism, which is the amoeba. So the pseudopodia enclose the food particles to form food vacuoles, which on associating with the primary lysosomes form secondary lysosomes, and after digestion, the soluble products simply or facilitated diffuse or actively move into the cytoplasm, while the undigested wastes are digested by exocytosis. Remember, when we are looking at cytology, we looked at all these, the primary lysosomes, secondary lysosomes, we looked at exocytosis. We still have another mechanism, which is the flagellated feeding. And when we talk about the flagellated feeding, we have the agalena and the sponges. So the flagella beating directs the microscopic food particles to the region of ingestion. Then the intracellular digestion does what occurs. We have what we call the cilia feeding. Here, the paramecium or the cilia beating directs the microscopic food particles to the region of ingestion. Then intracellular digestion does what occurs. We have what we call the tenticular feeding. The organism here is the sea cucumber. The mucus on the tentacles traps food food particles. This organism has got mucus on its tentacles, which trap now the what? Which traps the food particles. Then you have the cetus feeding. Here you have the water flea, the Chulex mosquito larvae. Those are the what? The organism. Now the set here on the appendages trap and direct smaller food particles into the digestive system. We have the myocardial feeding, another mechanism. Here we have some mollusks. I hope you know the mollusks. The mucus layer trap the food particles, later swallowed, and the new layer is what? The new layer is formed. Then you have what we call those are some of the organisms and their descriptions which feed on smaller particles. We have seen several what mechanisms. Here we have another one we can look at. The nature of food is the fluid and the soft tissue. Organisms which feed on fluids and soft tissue, their mechanism is fluid feeding. Here we have the amphids, leeches, fleas, lice, mosquitoes, housefly, the vampire bats, the tapeworm, and the trypanosoma. The nutrients rich fluid from the living host is sucked by the modified mouth parts. Then the already digested food is absorbed across the integuments. When we talk about integuments, these are the what? These are the intestines. Then you have what we call lastly the large particles. Now these large particles, they are divided into two mechanisms. You have the substrate feeding, the post feeding. Here you have the insect larvae and the earthworm. Those are the organisms. These are non-selective swallowing of mud, sleet, sand, etc. After burrowing their way through the food stock or the organic material. Then from there we have lastly what we call the bulk feeding, the macrophagous feeding. Here we have the land snail, the caterpillars, termites, snakes, birds, seals, squids, many mammals, the spiders, blowfly, the larvae. We have the crabs, the dragonfly, and the description that may involve scraping and boring. Boring means making smaller holes. Here we have the termites and the snails. We have capturing and swallowing. Here we have the birds, snakes, the dogfish, and the seals. We have capturing, chewing, and swallowing. Here we have the squids, the mammals. Then you have capturing, digesting externally and ingesting. We have spider, we have the starfish, we have the blowfly. Then using appendages like tentacles, the pensum claws, the poisonous fangs, and the jaws, the mandibles.